All right, all right. Just want to make sure that everything's working. As you guys are coming in, welcome, welcome. And I'm going to just kind of hold on for a second, just kind of like talk for a second, make sure that you guys can hear me. I got my audio equipment set up right, but you know how it is with me, man. I be doing stuff and everything looks good, you know, in the lab. And then when I get ready to go live, you know, I get the gremlins and stuff like that. I got to learn how to defend myself against them. So anyway, y'all, welcome to Counter AtTactics, Zoe's little martial arts ministry. And before we get started, y'all, I want to talk to y'all a little bit about, you know, why I've decided to do this. And maybe it's because I'm extremely bored. No, I figure you guys can relate to that, but you guys know what's up. You know, and as it is right now, you know, I haven't taught martial arts in a long time. I haven't taught for, man, it's probably been over 10 years, I think, since I've taught martial arts. And I've debated for a while, you know, with myself, should I do an online course of martial arts? I never really liked the idea because, you know, martial arts, it's a very practical thing. You got to go in the lab. You know, you got to experiment with this stuff. You got to spar. You know, you got to have some decent amount of stimulus when you do this. But at this time right now, being that we've got this social distance thing going on, heck, I figured the best martial arts lesson I could really teach you would be like, if you get ready to get into a fight and need to defend yourself, it's like, wait. I got that COVID. You want some? you want some of these hands? You know, so I'm playing. But at any rate, y'all, so as it is, you know, I figure, hey, if you're a martial artist, because I don't necessarily, let me just be straight up. I don't really recommend this as, hey, an online course in the martial arts and you're really gonna, you know, get something out of it. But if you are a student of the arts, whatever art may be, hopefully you can use these techniques. You may find some useful information in these. I don't want to say techniques, but I do think of myself more as a technician. Okay, and you can use these to sharpen up your movements. Be more economic with your motions, you know, really trim the fat, maximize your momentum, maximize your leverage and things like that. You know, if you find these useful as a fellow martial artist, to incorporate this into your study without compromising and changing what it is that the discipline that you're in, you know, hey, you know, that's just us fellow martial artists, you know, sharing information. That's what that would be. So, you know, like I said, if this is probably geared more, and hopefully, if you are the beginning martial artist and you want to study the arts, you can take this information as a means to scope out a good school. If you want to scope out a good school for the arts, at least you'll kind of have an idea of what to look for. You know, if they're going to offer you that free trial course, you know, when we're able to get past the whole social distancing thing and schools are able to open back up and you know, you can get back into the arts and stuff like that. You can use this information to kind of get an idea of what you want to learn as a martial artist. Do you want to be more of a striker? Do you want to be more of a ballistic style martial artist? Do you want to focus on locks or submission holds and things like that? If you want to focus, or do you want to focus on kicking, right? Or do you really want to be the more well-rounded martial arts, which punches, kicks, locks, and throws? Okay, like I said, I haven't taught for a long time, so excuse me if I stutter a little bit. So, you know, these things like that, if you want to find a school, it's like what kind of that is going to appeal to what you have an idea of what it is that you want to explore as an artist, right? Do you want to go for more of the, you know, well, a lot of this stuff is based in, well, I won't get into all that, but you know, what you really might want to focus on, whether it's more of the more external styles, the harder styles, or whether it be the more circular style, you know, the harder linear styles or the circular styles or whichever. All right. So I don't want to blabber on too much. I want to go ahead and get into what, you know, like I said in the descriptions, we'll be looking at basics. And I'm just going to build from there. And hopefully, let me check the feed. Are you guys able to hear me okay? Is it just a little bit of feedback? Just so you guys make sure you guys can hear me all right? Right? Yeah. Basically, right now in this day and age, yeah, it's Kung Flu, right? You don't want to mess with the Kung Flu. Okay, so it looks like everybody's able to hear me okay. And you know, I'll go ahead and get started. And let's see, and you know, find out what you guys can do with it. And let's bear in mind, y'all, this is more This is, well, you can apply if you want to become like a sport fighter. That's not the way that I was taught. I wasn't taught sport fighting. The kind of fighting that I was taught was, well, it was self-defense, and it was more of a military based fighting curriculum, police kind of fighting curriculum, not or once, I mean, even dare I say mud and blood kind of fighting, but not like really sport kind of fighting. So it's for those who may be in like a sport kind of fighting, tournament style fighting and stuff like that. This might seem really weird. It might be really weird to you. But I personally think that you can use it to maximize your competitions and stuff like that. Man, I remember when I was starting in the arts, man. Oh my goodness. You know, my classmates. Oh man. Thank God I don't have nightmares about how my classmates put the works in on me, man, to get me through the arts. Even my own students would catch me too. That just means I'm a really good teacher. I never really thought of myself as like really a talented fighter. But in terms of teaching, I think you guys might pick up on something. But at any rate, y'all, let's go ahead and start with, we're going to start with the basics. We'll go ahead and start with the horse riding stance. Okay. Horse riding stance. And when you see it, y'all, what's going to come to your mind is, how corn am I going to use that in a fight? Right? It doesn't look practical. It doesn't look useful or anything like that. You know, you step into this stance. You're going to have your feet about shoulder width apart, right? Feet shoulder width apart, facing forward. All right. You got to be really focused on what your musculature is doing when you get ready to get started. Now, like I said, this looks like a very vulnerable stance. All right. This looks like an invitation to kick me in the jump. It's like, what you gonna do with that, man? I will. What? Okay. But the thing is, consider all your stances are going to be mobile. All right. So we start off with this basic stance. It's not just for a basic stance because it's an easy stance to do. And hey, well, let's just start with the easiest stance there is. You're going to start here because this stance in itself is a fighting application. All right. So, but it is a basic stance. So we're going to start from here. So with this stance, like I said, you want to make sure that everything is facing forward. All right. You want your muscular dialed into which way that you're going to go. So if you're lazy, and your feet are kind of facing out like that, you don't want to start canceling out your movement, man. You want to make sure that you've got that committed attack in the direction that you're going. You want to make sure that your muscles are lined up to what it is that you're going to do. All right. So you want to make sure that those feet are facing forward. You want to make sure that those knees are lined up with your toes. All right. Get a feel for what it is that you're doing. All right. Get a feel for your balance. Make sure that your back, your pelvis is going to be rolled forward. Back is straight. You want to make sure that you're not, that you don't have these discrepancies in your alignment. Let me say this really quick, y'all. And the reason why this stance is so important is because, a rule of thumb, what you'll hear a lot of people in the martial arts world say is that all fights go to the ground, right? You see people, they start getting into it, and then before you know it, they're on the ground and they're fighting and all that sort of stuff. Y'all, a lot of that happens because a fighter is just undisciplined. Okay, there is a science to staying on your feet, and you want to be on your feet. I don't care what anybody says, right? I'm not saying that stuff is not useful, that ground fighting is not useful, all that sort of stuff. I don't flip my nose up to any of that sort of stuff. But y'all, in the confrontations that I've been in, all right, you do not want to be on the ground, because chances are dude's cousin or his homies or stuff like that, they're going to want some. And while you're trying to work out that arm bar, somebody else is going to be kicking you in the back of the head. You don't want to be on the ground if you do not have to be. Work on the science of your stance. You can stay on your feet. Okay. Later on, we can get into the techniques of working out your ground fighting and stuff like that. But if you can stay on your feet, stay on your feet. But let's talk a little bit about why it is that people end up on the ground. What were we talking about? We're talking about that balance. We're talking about that alignment. Okay. You notice when people get ready to go off, right? They start throwing these big old swings. Okay. When your arm, weighs about like 8-10 pounds. Now, when you multiply that with some velocity, your arm is going to weigh a lot more. All right. So you go throwing these swings and stuff like that, you will suck yourself off of balance. And that's how people end up on the ground. They get to swinging and getting all top heavy and stuff like that and throwing that momentum and throwing that body weight. You get all top heavy, and before you know it, you're on the floor. Okay. You want to make sure that you have this consistent axis when you're moving with your opponent. All right. So keeping your body straight. You don't want to get into a position where your opponent is able, well, not even your opponent. I'm talking about yourself. You can be a detriment to yourself, right? Knock your own self off of balance or pull yourself or throw yourself off of balance. All right. So, or you can get into your opponent's space and trying to get, like trying to muscle them and stuff like that and throwing all this weight. And before you know it, both of you guys are on the ground. You want your opponent to compromise their axis, not you. All right. Get your opponent to where your opponent is having to reach for you. Right. And if your opponent is able to contact you, you should still even be able to manipulate their offset, right, without them manipulating yours. That's where this stance comes in. That's where we start to study what it is that you're doing when you're moving with your opponent. Not that you're going to be moving like this all the time, but this is the principles of maintaining your axis. All right. So as we're working this stance out, like I said, we want to make sure that our musculature is all facing forward and stuff like that. All right. Making sure that your back is straight, pelvis rolls forward, and you've got this center that's going on. Okay. So then you can start to get into exercises where, where you're moving, kind of shuffling and things like that, turning, shuffling and stuff like that. Ideally, even when you're doing like this, you want to make sure that your muscles are moving in a certain way to where when you move, right, you've got your muscles lined up to move in a certain fashion. All right. And when you move, there's not a lot of oscillation. You don't want to oscillate a lot when you're moving. It's up and down, side to side. You want to make sure that you're moving very straight. Why? Why is that? Because you don't want to telegraph. I see a lot, whether it's in sport fighting and stuff like that, I see these people making these, it's almost like they send somebody a text message, right? I'm going to text you a message showing you what I'm going to do, right? What you want to do is you want to make your movements very subtle, right? Almost robotic, okay? This will become fluid, but you want to, when you're moving, guys, you want to make sure that your movement is almost, it's, I think in the Hung system, in the Hung clan system, they call it the no shadow kick, right? You want to move in a way that's so quick that it doesn't cast a shadow, right? Metaphorically or whichever. But basically what it's saying is that you don't want to give away what you're doing. And I see a lot of people doing it because they want to show all this power and all this sort of stuff. It's like, no, you want to make sure that you can still get a lot of power with your body and the momentum that you're driving into your opponent, rather than trying to pull way back here, doing all this, big movement and stuff like that to try to set up for what it is that you're doing. You're giving a lot of that stuff away. Okay, so back to the horse riding stance and how it can be applied. Let's say you're squared off with your opponent. All right. And once again, like I said, I've got everything lined up with what I'm going to do to defend myself from here. Now, with your horse riding stance, you want to be able to use the stance. This is an application of using the stance, just to kind of let you guys know, or martial art, because I know there's even martial artists who just see it as a basic stance, a stance to train from. A lot of martial artists that are like that. They just see the horse riding stance as a stance to train from, train their punches and things like that, but they don't see the application of the stance. They don't see how it can be used, right? And then from there, they don't teach anything else. Well, when you want to use the horse riding stance, you want to use the horse riding stance. For example, and what I'm telling you is not the end all of it. There's more, but we're just going to get to the basics. Okay, when you want to use your horse riding stance and you want to engage your opponent, you want to, let's say you want to close the space with you and your opponent. All right. So if you're here and you want to drive into your opponent, all right, and work on manipulating their space and closing the space. You want to close the space with your opponent, or if your opponent has decided that they're going to close the space with you. All right, what you want to do is you want to be able to use that horse riding stance and manipulate their balance. So let's say if we're from this angle right here and we're in a closed stance. A closed stance meaning that your opponent's left foot is in front to your left foot being in front, right? Open stance is when your opponent's right foot is forward to your left foot. Or whatever strong arm you want to be, if you're going to be in a conventional orthodox position with your left foot in front versus a southpaw position. So you're going to be in your left foot forward position, right? And if your opponent has their left foot in front, and let me say this really quick. I know I rabbit trail a lot. Bear with me. I haven't taught in a long time. You'll see instructors do this a lot, right? And this is kind of like a pet peeve of mine. And I'm sorry, y'all, because I'm not trying to. They're able to make a business doing it. I suck at making a business of it. But a pet peeve of mine is when I see people teaching something and they'll teach them in a way where they're teaching the student in a way that the opponent is going to make things accessible to them. Your opponent's not going to make things accessible to you in this kind of presupposed fashion, right? Like say, for instance, okay, I'm going to teach you this technique. Put your right foot in front. Chances are your opponent's not going to attack you with their right foot in front. Most people are right-handed, which means that their strong arm is their right hand. If you're so inclined, let's try an experiment. Let's try an experiment. If you're standing and you're right-handed, I want you to pretend like you're going to throw a baseball, right? Just wind up and go ahead and throw your pitch and see what happens. Chances are good your left foot ended up in front because you're going to throw with your strong hand, right? Well, that's how most people punch. They're going to punch with their strong hand, which is most likely going to be with their right hand, and their left foot's going to end up in front. So study that way. Don't have it where they put the right foot in front so you can make this technique and flash this technique to your students. That's deceiving them, okay? Give them the truth. Give them the truth. The chances are the left foot is going to be in front, and that's what you want to work with. You're going to have to work with that opposition, right? Some people, they find that difficult to get around when their left foot is in front. I don't know why. That's just nature. That's just how we are. So it should be something that work with rather than changing the dynamics of how a person behaves in hand-to-hand combat, changing the dynamics of how they behave to make it, a technique work in theory. Okay. Try to get as close to the real thing as you can get. All right. So this person's going to have their left foot in front. So what you want to do is that you want to be able to push in towards your opponent, get into their circle, right? So as you get into their circle, remember, y'all, you can beat, chances are really good, you can beat the fastest runner going forward than the fastest runner can run backwards. All right. So what you want to do is you want to drill into their space. They're not going to be able to get away from you so easily. All right. Push into their space. So as you push into their space, and if you, let's say, for example, we want to get into using this horse riding stance. Okay. You're going to push into their space and you're going to curl. You're going to basically run in and circle this leg around their leg. All right. So imagine this person is right here. Okay. Mirroring, it's just right where I can touch him. My instructor would say, if you could touch him, you got him, right? So you're in this position where you can touch them. You want to be able to, you can see my legs. You want to get this leg around, right? Circle it around their leg. Now, once you've done that, you have screwed up their balance. Okay? Their balance is messed up. Your balance is in check. Their balance is going to get messed up. All right? So as you go around through here, and one of the little dirty little things you can do as you step in, you want to be able to move in, and if you want to get this hand past their guard, right? So their hand is right here. Chances are they're most likely going to be like this. Okay. Now, if your opponent is like this is invitational, right? In the school that I come from, this is invitational. This isn't really good defense right here. Okay, because this allows me. Look at this right here. This is like this. As opposed to you being like this, all right? Now from here, these are my spears. These are my sword, all right? I have closed this much space with my opponent, and they have to travel. If they're going to throw a punch at me, look how far they got to travel to connect with me, right? They're like this. Look at that. Look how far they got to travel to try to hit. Look how far they got to go. And sometimes their punches may be coming in wide like this and stuff. All right, big old swinging punches trying to connect. I'm already right here, right? I'm right here just to drill. Now, this doesn't look like a big old muscular movement, does it? It doesn't look all big and muscular. But y'all, if I weigh 180 pounds, right, and I drive that forward, you hit somebody with 180 pounds pushing forward, right? I got this weight behind me like this, and I push forward. You hit them in the nose, it's going to bleed, all right? So this is quick, boom, right? That's the science of that jab. You don't want to just try to stick them with your arm string, but with your body. Your body's going to go into it. Your body's going to drive that next punch. And it's quick, right? No telegraphing, very fast. As opposed to trying to throw these big punches out there, right? That's giving them away. You're already right in their space. So with that, you're going to drive into their space. This is going to mess with their vision. all right, messes with their vision. And you're going to curl this leg around there. Now you're in that horse riding stance. Okay, you're in that horse riding stance. And as you go in, you circle this hand down and grab you some jeans, right? Grab some pants, grab a shirt. Now they can't get away from you, right? So as you step in, you can start driving the elbow, right? Inwards, outwards, whichever. Okay, coming in, circling in, grabbing. Now they can't get away from you. All right, so now from here, with this, as you come in, their balance is messed up. You can either drive them backwards, drop them on their head this way, okay? So you can come in like so. And if they try to get away from you, hey, shift back into another horse riding stance. Okay, so they're coming in, you're coming in this way, and you're going to drive them back this way. If they're able to get out of that, and as they're going backwards, you're just going to shift right back into another horse riding stance. Okay? And then you got it from here. And they might be wearing one of them hoodies or something like that. So as you come in, you're going to drive them backwards. So your arm is going to be right under their neck like this, lifting them up and then down. Okay? Coming in, lift up and then down, right? And then from here, if they get away from that, you're coming in right here. Just swing back. You're in a horse riding stance again. Grab them by that hoodie, right? Grab them by the back of their shirt or something, right? And then pulling down also. All right, so you want to be able to make sure that you can step in quickly, boom, coming in like this. Turn, grab, this way, like so. So this is working from your horse riding stance, y'all. It's very practical in application to getting into your opponent's space and messing up their balance. All right. So also, and when it comes to your throws, even when you're coming in, you're infiltrating, you're going in for your throws, you got that balance where it's here, okay? And your legs are going to be bent just so much, right? And with that flex right here, and you're able to do this, okay? If my leg is bent this much, I can straighten it this much, which means that if I come in like this, my knees are bent, and I want to go ahead and get that throw going, all right? I've got this much potential in my legs where I can lift, right? Lift or shoot. Lift or shoot my leg back. And I want to be able to get my opponent uprooted, all right? Uprooted and then down. So this is going to work for your throws. This is another example of when you want to get in with that horse riding stance, manipulate your opponent's balance, get into their circle, right? Manipulate their balance and be able to use that potential here to get your lift on, right? From there. All right, y'all. So just a little idea of what you can do with your horse riding stance. Remember, get your muscles lined up towards your opponent, feet shoulder width apart, back straight, focus on your alignment, y'all. You want to be able to stay on your feet. Okay, so when you go and you have to defend yourself, you don't want a person to be able to take you off your balance, and you don't want to throw yourself off of balance. You don't have to go to the ground. Okay, there's a science to staying on your feet. And it's being able to control your momentum, control your punches, control how you the angle of how you're throwing your punches, and make sure that you're maintaining this straight body so you don't get all top heavy and so you don't throw yourself off of balance when you're trying to defend yourself. Okay? So let me see if there's anybody that's giving, let's see. Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the feed. I don't want to ignore anybody because you guys might have some good tips for me. Say, oh, you need to work on your, and I know people do. People definitely do that, but it's all good, man. I'm still trying to learn myself. I see a lot of it. Thank you for the kind feedback. Let me see. Yeah. Looks like a lot of agreement. That's good. Yeah, I'm glad that you agree with Rex Kwanzaa. Rex Kwanzaa. Anyway, thank you guys for letting me share some of my martial arts experience with you, stuff that I've learned and stuff that I can pass on to you guys. I hope you guys find it useful, if not entertaining. If you're a martial artist as well, thank you guys so much for stopping in and letting me share some things with you. And hopefully you'll find it interesting, even in this basic, course that you were able to see something enlightening in it, and that you may find it useful in your training. All right. So God bless you. And we'll try it again on Monday. We'll call it Martial Arts Monday or something like that. All right. Thanks, y'all.